This is Romeo and Juliet, Act 3, Scene 5. So the scene starts out before the sun has come up on Tuesday morning. Romeo and Juliet have just spent the night together and are just waking up. Remember, Romeo needs to get out of Verona before the sun comes up because he can't be seen. If he is seen, he will be put to death. He needs to get out of the town and head over to Mantua to wait to find out what's going on. So we have Romeo and Juliet just waking up.
Wilt thou be gone? It is not yet near day. It was the nightingale and not the lark that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on yon pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale.
It was the lark, the herald of the morn, no nightingale. Look, love, what envious streaks do lace the severing clouds in yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out, and the jocund day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain tops. I must be gone and live, or stay and die.
Yon light is not daylight. I know it, It is some meteor that the sun exhaled to be to thee this night a torch-bearer and light thee on thy way to Mantua. Therefore stay yet. Thou needst not to be gone.
Let me be ta'en, let me be put to death. I am content, so thou wilt have it so. I'll say yon grey is not the morning's eye. 'Tis but the pale reflex of Cynthia's brow, nor that is not the lark whose notes do beat the vaulty heaven so high above our heads. I have more care to stay than will to go. Come, death, and welcome. Juliet wills it so. How is't, my soul? Let's talk. It is not day.
It is. It is. Hie hence, be gone away. It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords and unpleasing sharps. Some say the lark makes sweet division. This doth not so, for she divideth us. Some say the lark and loathed toad changed eyes. Oh no, I would they had changed voices too, since arm from arm that voice doth us affray, hunting thee hence with hunts up to the day. Oh, now be gone. More light and light it grows.
More light and light, more dark and dark our woes.
So they wake up and Juliet sees that Romeo is kind of getting ready to leave, and she says, no, it's not morning yet. That's the nightingale singing, not the lark. So the lark would be singing in the morning time. And Romeo says, no, it's the lark. The night is over and the sun is coming up. And if I want to live, I have to go, because if I stay here, I'll be put to death. And Juliet says, no, the light is not coming up yet. I know it. It's just a meteor coming out of the sun to light your way to Mantua, so you can stay for a while. You don't have to go anywhere. And Romeo says, you know what? I don't want to go anywhere. Let me be captured. Let me be put to death. I am content. He says, I want to stay here more than I want to leave. So come, death, and welcome me. Juliet wills it so. And he says, how are you? Let's talk. It's not daylight yet. And Juliet says, no, it is. And you have to go, because if you stay here too long, you will be killed. The men are going to be looking for you. So now you have to go. I see more light coming up. Like, she's starting to get like, oh, no, you really do have to leave.
Madam! Nurse? Your lady mother is coming to your chamber. The day is broke. Be wary. Look about. And window let day in, and let life out.
Farewell, farewell. One kiss and I'll descend.
Art thou gone so, love? Lord, my husband, friend, I must hear from thee every day in the hour, for in a minute there are many days. Oh, by this count I shall be much in years ere I again behold my Romeo.
Farewell. I will omit no opportunity to convey my greetings, love, to thee.
Think'st thou we shall ever meet again?
I doubt it not. And all these woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our times to come.
Oh, God, I have an ill divining soul. Methinks I see thee now thou art so low as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. Either my eyesight fails or thou look'st pale.
And trust me, love, in my eyes so do you. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu,
The nurse comes in and says, hey, your mother's coming. She knows that Romeo is there. She helped arrange him getting there and says, your mother's coming. You need to get up and get ready, and he needs to go. So Romeo goes out the window and says, give me one more kiss and I'll go. And Juliet says, do you think we'll ever see each other again? Romeo says, I have no doubts about it. All these troubles will give us stories to tell each other later on. So we will look back on this and laugh. We will be fine. As Juliet looks down at Romeo as he's climbing down the ladder, she says, oh God, I have an ill-divining soul. Methinks I see thee now, thou art so low as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. So she has some major foreshadowing right here, and she sees Romeo leaving and she says, it looks like you're dead. It looks like you are lying in the bottom of a tomb, in a grave. And Romeo says, you look pale too. It's because we're sad. It takes the color out of our cheeks. So Romeo kind of wants Juliet to feel better, and so he says everything's going to be okay, and he leaves.
Oh, Fortune. Fortune, all men call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for faith? Be fickle, Fortune, for then I hope thou wilt not keep him long, but send him back.
Oh, daughter, are you up?
Who is that calls? It is my lady mother. Is she not down so late or up so early? What unaccustomed cause procured her hither?
So Juliet's mother comes in, and Juliet says, it's really weird. She's here either really early or she's been up really late, but it's odd that Lady Capulet would come talk to Juliet so early in the morning. Remember, Lady Capulet's not that great of a mother, so she doesn't often come see Juliet first thing.
Why, how now, Juliet?
Madam, I am not well.
Evermore weeping for your cousin's death. What, wilt thou wash him from his grave with tears? And if thou couldst not make him live. Therefore have done. Some grief shows much of love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit.
So Lady Capulet comes in and says, how are you, Juliet? And Juliet says, not good, because she's still, crying over Tybalt's death. And Lady Capulet says, are you going to cry over Tybalt's death forever? So she's being very insensitive. And she says, you can't bring him back. You need to stop crying. A little bit of grief shows that you loved him, but this much grief just makes you look stupid.
Let me weep for such a feeling loss.
So shall you feel the loss, but not the friend which you so weep for.
Feeling so the loss I cannot choose, but ever weep the friend.
Well, girl, thou weepst not so much for his death as that the villain lives which slaughtered him.
What villain, madam?
That same villain, Romeo.
Villain and he be many miles asunder. God pardon him. I do with all my heart. And yet no man like he doth grieve my heart.
That is because the traitor murderer lives.
So Lady Capulet says what you should really be crying about is the fact that murderer villain who killed Tybalt is still alive. And Juliet says, I pardon him. He's far from a villain, and I don't think anything poorly of Romeo right now.
Madam, from the reach of these my hands, was none that I might venge my cousin's death.
We will have vengeance for it, fear thou not. Then weep no more. I'll send to one in Mantua, where that same banished runagate doth live, shall give him such an unaccustomed dram that he shall soon keep Tybalt company. And then I hope thou wilt be satisfied.
Indeed, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him dead. Is my poor heart so for a kinsman vexed? Madam, if you could find out but a man to bear a poison, I would temper it, that Romeo should, upon receipt thereof, soon sleep in quiet. Oh, how my heart abhors to hear him named and cannot come to him, to wreak the love I bore my cousin upon his body that hath slaughtered him.
Find thou the means, and I'll find such a man.
So Lady Capulet says, don't worry, we're going to get revenge on Romeo. I'm going to send a man to Mantua, where Romeo is, and we are going to poison him, and we will avenge Tybalt's death. So Juliet says, well, that's not good. I won't be satisfied with Romeo until I can behold him dead. And she says, actually, Mother, if you would, find somebody with that poison, and I'll go to Mantua myself and give it to Romeo. And Lady Capulet says, "Find thou the means, and I'll find you such a man."
But now I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl.
And joy comes well in such a needy time. What are they, I beseech your ladyship?
Well, thou hast a careful father, child. One who, to put thee from thy heaviness, hath sorted out a sudden day of joy that thou expectst not, nor I looked not for.
Madam, in happy time. What day is that?
Marry, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant young and noble gentleman, the County Paris, at St. Peter's Church, shall happily make thee there a joyful bride.
Now, by St. Peter's Church and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder at this haste that I must wed ere he that should be husband comes to woo. I pray you, tell my lord and father, madam, I will not marry yet. And when I do, I swear it shall be Romeo, whom you know I hate rather than Paris. These are news indeed.
Here comes your father. Tell him so yourself, and see how he will take it at your hands.
Lady Capulet comes in and says, "Well, I have joyful news. I have joyful tidings to bring you." Juliet says, "Well, what is that? Please tell me." So Lady Capulet says, "Well, you have a careful father, and he has found you a husband, and you are going to be marrying Paris on Thursday. Isn't that great news?" Juliet says, "No, he will not make me a joyful bride. This is really rushed, and I can't marry him. He hasn't even come to, court me or make me fall in love with him." And he says, "Actually, I will never marry him. And in fact, when I do get married to someone, I swear it will be Romeo, who you know I hate. And rather I would marry Romeo than Paris." We already know that she's married to Romeo. But she says, "Isn't that news?" So Lady Capulet says, "You know what? Here comes your father. You can tell him so yourself."
When the sun sets, the earth doth drizzle dew. But for the sunset of my brother's son, it rains downright. How now? The conduit girl, what, still in tears, evermore showering? In one little body thou counterfeit'st a bark, a sea, a wind, for still thy eyes, which I may call the sea, do ebb and flow with tears. The bark thy body is, sailing in this salt flood. The winds thy sighs, who raging with thy tears, and they with them, without a sudden calm, will overset thy tempest-tossed body. How now, wife? Have you delivered to her our decree?
So Lord Capulet comes in, and he sees that Juliet is still crying. He doesn't really know what just went on between Lady Capulet and Juliet. And he says, Why are you still crying? You're some kind of fountain. Are you still crying over Tybalt?" So again, super insensitive. Tybalt just died yesterday. And both of Juliet's parents are like, "Get over it. Why are you still crying over him?" And then finally, because Lord Capulet thinks this is really good news, he says, "Okay, wife, have you told her of our decree, of our decision for Juliet to marry Paris?"
Aye, sir, but she will none. She gives you thanks. I would the fool were married to her grave.
Soft, take me with you, wife. How will she none? Doth she not give us thanks? Is she not proud? Does she not count her blessed, unworthy as she is, that we have wrought so worthy a gentleman to be her bride?
No.
So Lady Capulet says, "Yeah, I told her of our decision," but she says, "No, thank you." And so Capulet is really confused, and he says, "I don't understand. How can this be? She's refusing to do what I tell her." And so he's not sure what's going on, and we're about to see a different side of Lord Capulet than we have seen in the past.
Not proud you have, but thankful that you have. Proud can I never be of what I hate, but thankful even for hate that is meant love.
How? Chopped logic? What is this? Proud, and I thank you, and I thank you not, and yet not proud? Mistress Minion, you. Thank me no thankings, nor proud me no prouds, but fettle your fine joints 'gainst Thursday next to go with Paris to St. Peter's Church, or I will drag thee on a hurdle thither. Out, you green sickness carrion! Out, you bad baggage, you tallow-face!
Fie, what are you, mad?
Father, I beseech you on my knees. Hear me with patience, but to speak a word.
Hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wretch! I tell thee what, get thee to church o' Thursday, or never after look me in the face.
Father!
Speak not, reply not, do not answer me. My fingers itch. Wife, we scarce thought us blessed that God hath lent us but this only child, but now I see this one is one too much, and that we have a curse in having her. Out on her, Hilding!
God in heaven bless her. You are to blame, my lord, to rate her so.
And why, my lady wisdom, hold your tongue. Good prudence, smatter with your gossips, go.
Speak no treason.
Oh, Goddy Goodine!
May not one speak.
Peace, you mumbling fool! Utter your gravity or a gossip's bowl, for here we need it not.
You are too hot.
God spread! It makes me mad! Day, night, work, play, alone, in company, still my care hath been to have her matched. And having now provided a gentleman of noble parentage, of fair demeans, youthful and nobly lined, stuffed, as they say, with honourable parts, proportioned as one's thought would wish a man, and then to have a wretched puling fool, a whining mammet in her fortune's tender, to answer, I'll not wed, I cannot love, I am too young, I pray you pardon me. Madam, you will not wed, I'll pardon you. Graze where you will, you shall not house with me. Look to't, think on't, I do not use to jest. Thursday is near. Lay hand on the heart, advise, and you be mine, I'll give you to my friend, and you be not, hang, beg, starve, die in the streets, for by my soul I'll ne'er acknowledge thee, nor what is mine shall never do thee good. Trust to't, bethink you, I'll not be forsworn.
Lord Capulet has lost it on Juliet. And so she has said, I'm proud of what you've given me, and I thank you for it, but I don't want to marry Paris. And Capulet says, what fuzzy logic is this? You say you're proud and you say thank you, but then you say no thank you and you're not proud. Well, I don't care. You're spoiled and you're going to marry Paris. He says, you will be at the church on Thursday, and if you don't go, I will drag you there myself. And he calls her worthless. He says that she disgusts him. And Lady Capulet steps in and she says, what, are you mad? Like, you're taking this too far. And Juliet says, I'm begging you, please, father, like, listen to me. Just let me say one thing. And Capulet just goes off and says, forget you, you're worthless, you disobedient wretch. I'm telling you that if you're not at the church on Thursday, you can never look me in the face again. Don't say anything, don't reply, don't talk back. He says, my fingers itch, I feel like slapping you. God gave me one child, but now I can see that one child was too many. You are a curse on us. And he's just going crazy and saying all these horrible things to Juliet. And even the nurse steps in and she says, hey, Lord, you're wrong to berate her like that. And then Capulet turns on the nurse and says, you don't get to talk. Shut up, old woman. And so that shuts the nurse up. And she gets a little bit upset about that as well. And Capulet says, be quiet, you mumbling fool. We don't need to hear from you. Lady Capulet again steps in. And he just continues and says, my top priority has always been you. And now I've found you this good husband from a noble family. And you're saying, no, I can't. I won't get married. I can't fall in love. I'm too young, whatever. And he says, well, here's the deal. If you don't get married, then you're excused. You can eat wherever you want because you're no longer going to live under my roof. And Thursday is coming. You better be there. He says, if you act like my daughter, I will marry you to my friend. If you don't act like my daughter, you can beg, starve, and die in the streets. So Juliet has no choice if she wants to remain in the Capulet family, according to Capulet, that she needs to marry Paris.
Is there no pity, sitting in the clouds, that sees into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet my mother, cast me not away. delay this marriage for a month, a week. Or if you do not, make the bridal bed in that dim monument where Tybalt lies.
Talk not to me, for I'll not speak a word. Do as thou wilt, for I have done with thee.
So Capulet leaves, and Juliet is talking to her mother, and she says, please, at least delay this a month. Tybalt has just died. I'm not ready to get married to Paris right now. And Lady Capulet says, don't even talk to me. I'm done with you. So now her father has turned on her, and her mother has turned on her.
Oh, God. Oh, nurse, how shall this be prevented? My husband is on earth, my faith in heaven. How shall that faith return again to earth unless that husband send it me from heaven by leaving earth? Comfort me. Counsel me. Alack that heaven should practice stratagems upon so soft a subject as myself. What sayest thou? Hast thou not a word of joy? Some comfort, nurse.
Faith, here it is. Romeo is banished, and all the world to nothing that he dares ne'er come back to challenge you. Or if he do, it needs must be by stealth. Then, since the case so stands as now it doth, I think it best you married with the county. Oh, he's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dish-clout to him. An eagle, madam, hath not so green, so quick, so fair an eye as Paris hath. Beshrew my very heart, I think the happier in the second match, for it excels your first. Or if it did not, your first is dead. Or 'twere as good he were as living hence, and you no use of him.
So now finally Juliet turns to the nurse and she says, please, nurse, give me some comfort, give me some counsel. What can I do? And the nurse says, well, I think you should marry Paris. Romeo's been banished. If he does come back, he'll have to sneak back and see you undercover in secret. What kind of a life is that? And I think it's better to marry the county, to marry Paris. And she says, I think you'll be happy in this second match. It'll be even better than your first. So remember a couple scenes ago, she was talking about how Romeo was better than Paris. Now she's kind of flipped her switch and said, nope, I think you should marry Paris instead. Your first marriage is over anyway. There's no way that you can have a happy marriage with Romeo, so you should just marry Paris. And there's a few reasons why the nurse might have had this change of heart, possibly because she has seen how Capulet will treat her if Juliet doesn't do what she's told. And the nurse is only there to raise Juliet, and so if Juliet's gone, the nurse will probably lose her job as well. And so she's kind of turned on Juliet as well, not as much as her parents have, but still isn't on Juliet's side.
Speak'st thou from my heart?
And from my soul too, else beshrew 'em both.
Amen.
What?
Well, thou hast comforted me marvellous much. Go in, and tell my lady I am gone, having displeased my father, to Lawrencel, to make confession and to be absolved.
Marry, I will. And this is wisely done.
So Juliet asks, are you speaking from your heart? And the nurse says, yes, I am. I think this is best. And maybe she does. Maybe she really does think this is best for Juliet, and she just wants her to be happy and for the family to get along. So Juliet says, okay. And the nurse says, what? So Juliet says, if this is what you think, then go tell my mother that I have gone to Friar Lawrence's cell. Tell her that I know that I have displeased my father, and I need to make confession and be absolved. So she says she's going to go ask for forgiveness at the church, when that's probably not what she's really doing.
Ancient damnation. Oh, most wicked fiend. Is it more sin to wish me thus forsworn, or to dispraise my lord with that same tongue which she hath praised him with above compare so many 1,000 times? Go, counsellor. Thou and my bosom henceforth shall be twain. I'll to the friar to know his remedy. If all else fail, myself have power to die.
So after the nurse leaves, Juliet says, "Ancient damnation, O most wicked fiend." So she's talking about the nurse saying, "You even betrayed me." So she mentions how you have said all these wonderful things about Romeo and now you're saying all these terrible things about him. And I will never ask you for advice again, and I'll never trust you with my true feelings. So she says, now I need to go talk to Friar Lawrence and see if he has some sort of remedy, some sort of solution for us. And again, she says, if all else fail, myself have power to die. So if all else fails, I will just commit suicide. That is the end of Act 3.